year's enterprise. Another beautiful day, another beautiful Sunday to be alive, to be breathing. We have a beautiful segment today. But before we go into this segment, let's introduce ourselves. My name is Fahim.
I'm Dante.
And I'm Patrick.
Again, today we have a beautiful project. I'm not even finna introduce them right now. I'm not, because the introduction gonna stand alone. But I'm gonna let my good brother Patrick introduce him.
I got to put these glasses on, man. I got to get prepared what's going to be said. I got to brace myself. I wish I had a seatbelt, but the thing is this, man. You know, it's a beautiful thing, man. I'm going to go ahead and introduce them for who they are. Uncuffed Project by the names of Damon and Vincent, better known as Hoofi.
LA and Paps.
Well, hey, you know, it's our honor and pleasure to have y'all on. Of course, me and Paps connected, you know, in the past, and damn, he spoke so highly of you, man, that we just crossed paths, and we had to bring it together because we owe each other that. Yeah. Good people do good things. Absolutely. So we here, Uncuffed Project is here. Hey, man, tell us about yourself. What is Uncuffed Project about first before we go into the details?
All right. I'll tell you that. First, I'd like to tell you guys thank you for having us on.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
100 years. We're going to add a number or two right now. We're about 150 now. Sitting here, right? Yeah. Sitting right now, so that's good. Yeah. And so what the Uncuffed Project was I sat in San Quentin, and I started thinking about some things, and I saw a lot of brothers come back, and I would ask them the question, why'd you come back? Mm-hmm. And then they would say, oh, man, I didn't have this. I didn't have that. I didn't have support when I got out. So I made a decision. So what was the decision? Oh, I wanted to go back to what I knew. So it resonated with me. It stuck with me. And I said, we got to change that. I can't have you keep coming back. I'm walking off 30 plus, and you keep coming back. Yeah. That's no good, right? I don't need to see you every time, right? So I said I got with the chaplain in San Quentin, and we came up with a plan. The plan was, how can we help the young men and ladies when they get out not to recidivate? My job right now as a guy who was a life prisoner is to not have you come back. Mm-hmm. I want to just make these doors empty. I want to be the last one standing in there. That was my mentality. So I said, all right. So the first thing we got to do is we got to mentally take these handcuffs off these men coming back. Right. So this is how hence Uncuffed that was born. So I said, I got to get your mind right before you can get out there and really execute. Mm-hmm. And so I started working with the men while they were in prison. I said, listen, when you get out, I don't need you coming back because I'm going to give you the tools where you don't need to come back. So they said, all right, man. So this is how I ran into Paps. Now, I get transferred out of San Quentin. I end up in Solano. And Paps is there, and he said, hey, man, at that time I was the editor of the newspaper. Okay. He says, hey, man, my buddy, Hammer, he's coming. He comes to visit me on my birthday every year. Would you mind doing a little story? Because I'm going to do it. He was in the band. I said, all right. When he gets
real quick, did you know he was talking about Hammer?
Yeah. Okay. And here's where the best part comes in, right? I said, oh, yeah, that's my boy. He said, what? I said, yeah, I know him. He said, oh, yeah. But, you know, most of the time when people say that, they don't really know him. They just, you know, of him, right? He's world famous. So I said, yeah, I know him. So, long story short, Hammer comes into the visiting room. Paps is doing this thing on the patio, and Hammer's at my table for a long time. And Paps is looking like, man, you really do know. Right. So that's what happened. And then we just started talking about what we wanted to do in the movement. And then I'll let Paps take it from here, where we took off from there.
Yeah, it was like God saying, really. As each of us go through life, we really don't know what our future really behold, you know, and we all endure so much. And I was left with that question. I had to get on my knees and find out what was I being preserved for, you know. So that day when Hammer came, he knew him, which was good. And upon that, me and him started talking. And he told me about the vision of Uncuffed. I said, man, you know what? As soon as I get out, I'm going to run. And the day I got out, I got the bag. They sent the bag. I was in quarantine at a hotel, but that bag got to me like DoorDash, right? It got to me. Yeah. And from that point on, I've been like the road runner in the community everywhere. And I was going to all the prisons, making sure these people get what they needed. Yes. From there, it just grew and grew. And I brought in people, colleagues of mine that I've been affected with for many, many years, who's doing good things and so forth, to get more identity and recognition. Because a lot of times you can be doing good through your nonprofit organization, but you don't get that real identity because you're not connected to those people.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Yet I don't let that deter me from still doing the work. And we got to keep doing the work, and I've been doing it ever since. So Uncuffed has lights now. You know, we still passionate about what we're doing, because ain't nothing like seeing the face of people getting that initial help, man. You can't even fake that, you know? You can't fake that. I mean, it's essential. And I want to say personally, it's an honor to be among y'all guys.
Likewise.
Y'all doing some supreme work, man.
Likewise.
Much respect.
I'm not sure we gave you the edited version, but what we do is we help those getting out of prison get back, give them some stability. So we help them we give them 90-day stipend of food, we give them clothes, a phone, and a backpack. That we're famous for the backpack, but now it has grown to the duffel bag.
Right.
So you get the backpack.
You know what? That's gonna be part of my next question too.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So that's what we do. We give them that. So we meet them at the gate, Paps and I, and then we give them what they need essentially. Because a lot of people don't understand, when you get out, you gotta have a cell phone, man. It's mandatory.
Yes.
You can't even get your benefits
Most definitely.
because they want a phone, they want a number, right? So that's what we said, man. These people need phones, man. We can't be playing with this.
Right.
So that was like essential.
Okay.
Then we got to say, hey, we give you 90 days worth of food, so you don't feel like I got to do something in order to eat. So you get it's like getting a package on steroids, right? It's huge, right? So you get all the stuff, and we know what you need. Not what you want, but what you need, right? So when you get it, you say, okay. And then later on, and he was a recipient of one of the first bags. And so the co-founder in the Uncuffed Project her name is Lisa Strong. She's also the chaplain at San Quentin. Okay. So Lisa took the bag to Paps while he was on quarantine doing COVID. Okay. So he was like, man, I'm out, homie. This is good, but it's real. I can't go anywhere. I'm stuck.
Right.
I don't know what to do. I can't even call my family. I'm stuck in this hotel. That's what the parole put him in the hotel. And I said, don't worry, we'll be on the way. That's when we knocked on his door. And then that's when he received a bag. So now he understood what that felt like now that we're giving out the bag.
Gotcha.
Well, I'm glad you clarified what the bag was, because you said the bag. In my mind, I'm thinking you got the bag, you got a big bag of money.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, well, let me tip in here, Megan. I thought you was gonna jump in. Jump in.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I know Paps, right? I don't want to go too far back, but man, Paps, man, look here, man. First of all, I want to say I'm proud of you. I tip my hat to you. You know what I mean? It took me, many years for me to change, going from siren to just being comfortable with calling myself Patrick, because I had an identity crisis.
Right.
I didn't want to be Patrick for nothing in the world. Any girl that talked to me, I tell them to quit calling me Patrick. You blowing my gig. So I know, coming from this situation, right? And what I mean by that, gaining my identity and being comfortable with it, right?
Right.
And then saying to myself, okay, I got to give back, because I was faking. You know what I mean? And now that I'm talking to someone that I actually see doing the work, and when we first seen each other, I think you should tell it better than I can, right?
Yeah.
We was rivals. We was tripping with each other. Our hood and your hood was tripping. You know what I mean?
Hard.
So, how we came together, explain that, man, and, when we came to this point, how we got to, because you actually cut me into Damon.
Right.
Okay. You cut us into Damon on our visit, on our, approach.
I did that. Like you said, you expound on yesteryear. We both was on the other side of the planet back in the day. Two different turf. You got the minions that want to have power, but they wasn't the boss. You was a boss on one end, I was a boss on this end, but we never met because the minions was causing all the rift. Mm-hmm. Us being even grown men in that kind of lifestyle, we talked and broke all that down. Because in the end, you can't have war and money. No way.
That's right.
So that's how me and you became so. You probably didn't know, but I stuck my ability cord stuck to you then, because you already red carpet yourself as a real dude. We talking about some real street stuff right there, and it's a code we had. Once the respect is earned, it stays there until you take it off. I never took it off. Yet I never seen you no more until I get the phone call. My son had got killed in 2017, I think, either 2017 or 2018. And
belated condolences.
Go ahead.
No, extend our belated condolences.
Oh, thank you. And through a family crisis parent, there was lack of communication on that side. I'd say my son's mother. And because of that, I never got no real understanding of what. Then they didn't want to give me the real understanding because of my cloth and where I came from. I got seen in the prison by the police. They didn't want no problems out in the street while I was still doing the time. So when I finally get out, I get the phone call, and it was Pat. Now, mind you, I ain't seen him since then.
Right.
And he made it possible where I could meet. It was my son's birthday. We met at the cemetery. And mind you, I had never seen my granddaughter either. Never seen his wife either. Never seen the mother of my granddaughter either. It was I had chill bumps the whole time I went there. In fact, Hammer came with me there to the cemetery. We was the only people at the cemetery. Seeing Pat, he don't know how seeing him made me stand up in front of my granddaughter. She this big, man. And meeting them was such I can't even give you how it felt.
Yes.
And my granddaughter, it's like she had the spirit on it. She knew that's my dad's dad. You know what I mean? And we've been stuck ever since. Just like that. And I told him about Damon, and he was telling me about you guys.
Right.
I ran to him, and I said, man, we got to, whatever you ask of me within my power, and Damon, we there for you guys. Because y'all doing some work too, man. And if people ain't really tuned in to what y'all doing, they just don't want to.
Yes.
And that's how me and him got together. And we family, we all family, but that's my brother right there, man.
That's what's up.
Yeah,
That's what's up.
he did that.
It's a blessing. This is a blessing, right? And it's a trip, like you say, we don't foresee things, in our life. And for this circle, even for how you came with your granddaughter, but we're going to go back here, right? The consequences of the street life, right, played a part of all this.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Played a part of all this. Even if it had a positive or a negative impact. And this is what we're here today, to speak about the consequences of the street life, because it's all tied in.
Right.
It ain't always about the negative part. Because it got positive as well, too. And I commend, both of you brothers, man.
Well, let me just add this, and I got this phrase from Hammer, right? He was asked the question if he had the chance to change something through what he went through. He said no. I feel the same way. If I wouldn't change nothing, the time, nothing, because everything we went through, there's a lot of positive things, positive people that submerged through this ordeal we went through.
Yes.
So if you change one thing, it may alter everything.
It's possible.
Yes.
Yeah,
You see what I'm saying?
Like the butterfly
Yeah.
effect.
Exactly.
So that's why we here today. If I had changed something, this wouldn't even happen.
Right? God don't make mistakes
No.
Never.
at all, right? And I want to segue just a little bit, but about the Uncuffed Project. We talk about the failures, not of man, but of systems. So we talk about the school to prison pipeline. We know what that is. We know what that entails, right?
Right.
How do we interrupt it? How do we break that up to where there's no more through or with the Uncuffed Project?
Great question. I'll tell you how. Just by having this conversation right here, I'm sure it's going to affect many, many people, because there's wisdom in this room. There's understanding in this room. There's comprehension of the system you just spoke about. And by having that comprehension and wisdom, now we're able to disrupt the system.
Absolutely.
Right? So we can go back and say, hey, hold on, man, before you go left, let me tell you what's around the corner.
Yes.
Right? And then somebody will say, damn, around the corner? Yeah, I've been around the corner. I was the corner. I was around the corner and back behind the street. So I need you to understand that if you make this bad decision, this poor choice in life, it will affect everything. And when we look back at our society and the communities that we go back to, that we came back to these communities,
Yes.
you can definitely see the effect of our decisions.
Exactly.
30, 40 years ago, what we made when we were youngsters making these decisions.
Every day
We
you
thought,
work.
hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to just give me some money right here. But the effect, not only psychologically, physiologically, the community is all suffering from the decisions we made. But we weren't wise enough to know what was being made about us. So they cast out a net. They say, all right, if somebody makes it through the net, you guys are good. If you don't, that's what our intention is, to get you caught up in the net, to remove you from a society where you can be a father to your children, be a grandfather to your grandchildren. When we remove you of that, then pretty much we're trying to decimate the population. And whatever reason that is, other people have speculations, but we know what it is, right? So how do we move from that? This is what we do.
It was almost like spawning.
Yeah, for sure.
Almost like spawning. We always one upstream.
Right.
But only way that fish get over, he had to jump
Right.
over the rest. Ain't that sad?
It is sad.
The jump, they had to step on somebody.
But see, it ain't got, as technology then evaded the planet, it got even more simpler, because now they introduced the game on your phone to keep your mind away from us, to give them the real. See, that phone it just tell you of events that happen. We give it the real ingredients to what can happen. And that's a different, like I was speaking earlier before we started, we considered OGs. Mind you, a lot of us OGs don't get the true wording or acronym, but it don't mean out of gas. It means on game, right? And so I'm saying that because we do have OGs who really is out of gas, who are afraid to talk to the youth. And I'm saying this from watching you guys, so I'm giving it real validity on what I'm saying. Y'all got all the dialogue to reach an ear of the youth. That's been the problem. Nobody had the dialogue to reach the youth. I got 42 nephews and 49 nieces. So from 3 to 37. So I had to learn the ebonics and all the wording so I can turn up their hearing, not their mouth. I refuse to talk down to anybody, talk up to them so they can get the same type of interest that I would want for me. Right. Y'all did that. And it's not many of us, but as we collectively come together as a conduit, we're gonna break the system somehow, some way. They're gonna realize they got some real soldiers out there that's reaching these people. Damon, he does a lot of the dialogue for what we do. I stick in my own thing with the community, in the trenches, in that dirt hole, in that tent. If I had to throw a lasso on somebody in the tent to bring them, man, I got a better place for you. Yes. I'm going to do that because I ain't scared to go in them trenches. I was there.
You was in those trenches.
I was there. You know what I mean? You was there too.
Yeah. Dan, you made me think, right, of something, right? Because every time we talk about a thing, right, I want to be the kind of man that what we talking about when we talking about being violence disruptors and all these things, I want to be able to, internalize it and do it, right? So when you was saying that, right, it took me to an event just recently when we went to the juvenile hall and we was talking to two young men, and it took us, just in a nutshell, I won't say they by name, but one of the young men, we had them in the program, and we trying to get them ready to be acclimated back in society, right? Trying to break the cycle of violence from within. Mm-hmm. And so things happen inside units and stuff, and
Right.
he get into it. He's taken out of the class, right?
Right.
And so he's out of the class for a good rough week, right? But when that week, it's a lot of things that's transpiring, right? So now he's behind, or I wouldn't even say really behind, but he's absent. So when we finally able to reach him, right? We see him and we sit down and talk to him. We have a dialogue that only they understand. Right? And so we had to go all the way back when we was 17, 18, 19. We was rambunctious inside, right? Finding ourselves. We don't have no identity, so we going to make one, right? If I got to knock him down, then they going to look at me as that guy. Right? And that's a part of identity. And so me and him sat down and we just put our head down because it was a mirror effect.
Yes, sir.
Well, my thing was, how can I approach this young man as if I wanted somebody to approach me and guide me?
Okay, you remember that day. So you remember when you were young.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you bring up juvenile hall because we're also in juvenile hall.
Right.
So we're out in Solano at JDF.
Okay.
And so what we do is, the funny thing was I had a few youngsters last week that I was talking to, didn't recognize the name, but I knew the face. I've been talking to him, right? Turns out his father was in the penitentiary with me and his grandfather. So I said, I'm talking to him about making these better decisions and better choices. And he's looking at me sideways like, yeah, all right, whatever, right? And then I said, you can check the pedigree, though. I don't need to make it. So I'm gonna give you this analogy. An empty wagon makes a lot of noise. So if I'm not making a lot of noise, you better pay attention because the guy making a lot of noise is not the guy.
Exactly.
You need to understand that. But they might be going past your head right now.
Right.
So he got on the phone and called his grandfather. Do you know this cat? Do you know L.A.? And he says, what? Hold on. And hit me on the phone. Says, hey, man, you were just in juvenile hall. I said, yeah, how you know? He said, because my grandson is in there. Man, the stuff he was telling him, I told him that's the real one. You should talk to him. So the next time I go back in there and talk to him, to answer your question,
Straight campfire.
right, let's have a talk.
Let's have a talk.
Let me explain. He probably told you some war stories I didn't tell you. So let me just talk to you about it. So that mirror effect that you talk about, that affected you, we go back to the mirror effect, right? And then say, listen, don't run away from the reflection. The reflection and what I'm holding up in front of you is you, but I was you. So I am the mirror. So if I pointed out to you that this might not work for you, let's try another way. Because as Dr. Phil would say, how's that working out for you? Right? That's what he always tell you that. When you're on the bad scene, the doctor says, how's that working out for you? So I always ask the young men in there, how's it working out for you? And you sitting in juvenile hall, and I'm with you, right? And I said, listen, 10 months ago, I was in the penitentiary. So think about that. And I really wasn't trying to get out of there because I was acting like a Class A jackass. But after 15 times to the parole board, and my mentality changed, and they felt the change, then they said, we'll give you a shot. Still suspect, though.
Yeah.
When I get out, we're going to put you on high risk. Okay, it's all good. Because now the calling that we all have, and I know it's in all of you guys, it's a calling.
Exactly.
I have to go back. There's no question I'm going back to reach those young men. There's no question I'm going to give them something that I didn't get. And that's what it's about. It's about giving back to them. And so when you talk to them that way, you can see the unification. We all come from different factions. I'm from Compton, California. Here I'm in the Bay Area, born and raised. So for me to be up here talking about these better decisions and better choices, because when we start talking about Bloods and Crips and in the 70s, and I was right in the midst of all that, right? So now having that understanding of that tribalism that was going on back then, so now I'm up here saying, listen, this is the heart. BPP was here. This is where we are, the nucleus. Everything was invented here in terms of the consciousness of uplifting. From HP, all of them, Huey, all of them were here. Right? So you guys were born into that here. So having the free lunches, all the things in the 70s that took place, the unification, everything, and having COINTELPRO exist at the same time. Yeah. So now there's a different psyche. You guys are inbred with the psyche. I had to learn the psyche later. Okay. Like I'm in tribalism, and I show up. I'm like, what glad? What you got? Blue, red? That's me. I'm in that psyche. You guys are already conscious, but not acting on your consciousness. So that's the difference. So now you're reverting back to tribalism at its lower state. Turf wars. you guys know, each one of you guys got the doctrine.
Yeah,
Why are you reverting back to that? And that is the energy that we have to try to disperse. But we don't need that energy. We need to take, now right now as a collective body, we all take a step outside. We can walk from neighborhood to neighborhood and still speak the same language to everyone. And they're all looking like, how's you going to go from the Acorns over here to Lower Park? How you going over here, over there, east side, west side, right? It doesn't matter because we're all in the same condition.
Exactly.
True.
And when you understand the condition, then you say, listen, man, it's not about us.
Yes.
It's about what they're doing to us.
Exactly. We you know what? We
Throw my hands up.
yeah, we appreciate it. You know, we really appreciate it. You know, from the Bay to LA all the way back down here, and again, follow 100 Years Enterprise on YouTube. Our Instagram 100 Years DOP. You can follow us on Spotify, well as Anchor Podcast, Uncuffed. It was a blessing to have you all here,
Most definitely.
and we appreciate it. And again, we got to keep them chains, them shackles off our wrists,
Absolutely.
off our thinking,
Right.
off that old mentality what we spoke of. You know what I mean, Paps?
That's it.
And, so as a pardon, in brief, 5-10 seconds. Y'all want to give the viewers something to lead with?
Yeah, I'm going to leave you with this. So not only are we on all the platforms, Uncuffed Project, on every one you can think of, including Spotify, we do have a podcast as well. We're going to have you brothers on. It's
Okay.
called Navigating Freedom, what that means. So you can find us on that. I started out with the other podcast, but real quick, I just want to leave you with this. If we don't come together as men and communicate with each other, what images are we setting for those around us and behind us?
Exactly.
So by us being in this room together, people are going to watch this, hear this, and say, yeah,
Absolutely.
they came together
Exactly.
for a greater cause. Now, maybe they don't know what that cause is, but the question is being asked, and that's what it's about.
And we started.
Yes, sir. Thank you, John.
I appreciate that.
I'm gonna be brief because you got a gumbo, you got gumbo, you got to season everything. I'm gonna tell you, it's all start with you. You have to first love yourself. Don't convict yourself. We fail, but don't let your failure define you. Learn from your failure. That's how you be a winner every day.
And my punchline is I have to add always. You don't have to be famous to be a star. You do not have to be famous. Don't be looking for the hurrah and the fans and the pom-pom. You already a star if you're doing the right thing. By
It is.
God.
Amen.
And the consequences of the street life, it has a negative effect and a positive effect. So let's keep that in mind. But our main focus and main goal is for these youngsters so they won't have to go down the same road that we went through. Because just keep in mind that when you're out there picking that gun up, picking that dope sack up, and robbing somebody, it's consequences behind that.
Absolutely.
So this whole reason for this podcast is so you won't have to go through what we went through.
And we will continue to steer these youth from making early death decisions.
Yes, sir.
We will lead them to their early grave, or before that grave, a long term of incarceration for over 150 years. Right? We don't want to give them that.
No, we ain't giving them that.
You know what I mean? We ain't trying to give them that. My name is Fahim,
Dante,
Patrick,
and we are.
100 years.
All right.
And thanks for
All right.
Uncuffs.
All right.
Appreciate y'all.
Y'all, thank you, Uncle. We appreciate you all.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Much
brother.
love, much respect.
Shukran.
You know it. Get that
Slap
thing
it.
to the base. Get it up in there.